What is the worst thing you have done because you got confused between items in different hands? I have put the house phone in the fridge and left the milk out more times than is healthy. The fridge is now the default first place I look if the phone is not on its cradle. My friend, I'm genuinely worried. He needs a carbon monoxide detector. I dipped my chips in the water, had a little I'm such a dumbass moment in my head, then proceeded to drink the saucer. The best part is you acknowledged what you did wrong. And still did it. Is there a term for that little gap in time where you know you're about to do something stupid / incorrectly only to still go through with it almost robotically? Because there should definitely be a word for this. When I was in college, our wind ensemble went to China right after I graduated. They took us to an American style restaurant one day and this guy filled up an entire soda cup with soy sauce because he thought it was soda. Threw a glass of water on my bed instead of a book. Phone in one hand, open Pepsi bottle in the other. Threw the wrong one on my bed. 911. Yes, I drank my phone. Also sorry for the call quality. When I was 10, I was watching TV and had the remote in one hand and a cup of hot tea in the other. My dad came in and asked for the remote. Instead of tossing him the remote, I threw my cup of tea and it went all over him. The next morning his chest and legs were red. Now he knows not to challenge you for the remote. Edit. I can't see the awards on the app I'm using, but thank you guys for them. Great way to establish dominance. Imagine asking for the remote and getting third-degree burns instead. This was my brother, but I was on the receiving end. We were at a country club for a wedding one evening and there were various backgammon games set up. This happened so long ago I don't even remember how to play backgammon anymore. But it was my brother's turn, and he was excited. So excited he slammed his glass of bourbon down on the game board and thrust the dice cup full of dice into his mouth. Totally worth being covered in watered down liquor to witness such buffoonery. This actually made me laugh out loud. I was writing while drinking Coke. I ended up stabbing myself in the face with a pencil. Okay, but did you draw with your Coke? Probably made some pretty straight lines, GBF. Stuck a dog treat in my mouth and gave my dog my popsicle. She was thrilled. How'd the treat taste? It was unpleasant. This was back in the day before all the gourmet dog treats. A good old Kirkland dog biscuit. Friend of mine once put the remote control in the oven and then wondered why he found himself in the living room holding a sausage. Remote control was destroyed. And it had previously spent several days in the back of a freezer because of a similar incident. I think this is one of my favorite stories on Hail Mayo. How was the sausage? My husband cleans the cat litter box and puts the gleanings in a tied off plastic grocery bag. He also puts his lunch in a tied off plastic grocery bag. When he goes to work he takes both bags outside, one to come with him and one for the trash can. Mistakes have happened. Must have made for interesting conversations. She, how was lunch? He, tasted like catacon. That can't be a happy surprise when lunchtime comes around. Office dogs love him for this one easy hack. A couple minutes ago I unwrapped a stick of gum, stuck the wrapper in my mouth, and threw the gum in the trash. Did you end up eating the gum? It's becoming clear to me from this thread that humans holding a cup in one hand and literally anything in the other hand is a recipe for disaster. Autopilot is a hell of a drug. It doesn't happen often, but getting to witness another person's autopilot failure is one of the great small pleasures in life. Threw away $5. Tried to pay at cash register with candy wrappers. Edit. To all of you asking, my favorite candy wrapper has to be M&M. I'm cracking up. What did the person behind the counter say? I knew them pretty well, same shop I'd been going to all my life, so I started laughing embarrassed and explained what happened. Never got the $5 back though. I cracked an egg, poured out the egg into the trash, and put the shell into a bowl. Do you eat your eggs with or without the crust? Drank paint water and whilst washing my brush and my cup of tea. Two simultaneous fuck ups. This is the kind of fear I always have when painting. Imagine the disaster if you were using oil paint solvents instead of water. I went to go and put a scoop of cat food in the washing machine drawer once. I too like my clothes to smell a fancy feast. Was drinking a hot cup of coffee on the back porch while throwing a bowl for my dog. To be fair, it was like 4 AM and the pup wasn't hurt, but my favorite mug got rearranged and the tree got some dirty bean water. I did something similar. My dog drops his bowl in his dish before coming in. Usually I toss his bowl then fill his dish in the morning. After a long night with a sick child, I stepped out, looked in the bowl, and flung his breakfast scoop into the yard. The grass just looked hungry as all. It's important to feed Mother Nature, lol. I grabbed my banana instead of the conductor's baton on the music stand as I began conducting the orchestra and chorus during a rehearsal. The musicians followed the banana very well, as if it were intentional on my part. Some thought the curve aided in making the performance more expressive. What was Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana. Link. I laughed out loud, and kudos for being respected so much that you are taken seriously while conducting with a banana. Edit. Spelling. Thanks. Put a wad of tissues in the laundry basket and threw my socks into the toilet. I was studying my notes, which were in a notebook, while also following lecture slides on my iPad. I tried zooming in my notes. Happened many more times throughout the sem. Tried to put an M&M in my ear and my Galaxy Bud in my mouth. Crunch. Fuck. I had a lens cleaner spray in one hand and a mouth freshener spray in the other. Guess what I did? Killed a family of 4 and got a new identity. Well, he did say guess. Dipped my tortilla chip in water. Still better than a toast smoothie. I once picked up my toothbrush and then instead of picking up toothpaste I picked up a tube of cortisone. Luckily caught myself. I also once picked up a razor instead of a toothbrush and just stared at it. Another time I poured water on the floor instead of in the sink. Just imagine someone standing facing away from the sink, angling their glass of water downwards and just staring at the stream of water hitting the floor. Mom has done the same, but poured the glass of water into a dog cage my cat was chilling in. Cat didn't move, but stared at her like what the fuck. Eater. Thanks so much for my first gold. Makes me so happy to see people thoroughly enjoy me and my mother's weird fits. Dash close bracket. I also once picked up a razor instead of a toothbrush and just stared at it. These are the best moments, especially when you forget what you were planning to do in the first place. Suddenly you have a random object in your hand and you have no idea why. Mom has done the same, but poured the glass of water into a dog cage my cat was chilling in. Haha, that poor cat. When I'm snapping the ends off the green bean sometimes I throw the bean in the trash and the end in the bowl. Not too funny, but at least it's true. I do this all the time. Or if I have 2 piles, one of the snapped off ends and one of the actual beans, sometimes I'll get confused and end up with a mixture of the two. Then I'll have to go sorting through the piles. This is the most boring story I've ever told Reddit. Licked the lid of my yogurt, then threw the full yogurt pot in the bin with the spoon inside. Only in one hand, but poured a drink onto myself that I was sipping through a straw. Rolled the blueberry and ate the dice. Legos bitten instead of snack. I'd be shitting bricks if that happened to me. Threw my keys into the recycle bin and attempted to start my truck with a crushed Monster can. Monster truck. Put my box of cereal in the fridge and my gallon of milk on top of it. Stayed that way unnoticed for almost 24 hours. Disposing leftover bones into the trash and placing the plates into the sink. I grabbed the bones with my hand and tossed the plates into the trash bin and started washing the bones before realizing what I've done. I had a cup of coffee and a scented candle. I drank the candle. Computer keyboard under one hand, PS4 controller in other. Wondering why what I'm typing in computer won't show in PS4. I used my bare hand to pick up my dog's poop. I know my neighbor saw me also. I just kind of played it off. Not me, but a friend of mine. I was at a party a couple of years ago, typical early adult stuff, so everyone is drunk by the end of the day. I myself can't drink, so I've got a front row seat to this glorious event. My friends were all in the same age group, so newly 21-year-olds drinking their fill. You can imagine what happens later. The bathrooms start filling up with a bunch of new drinkers blowing chunks. My cousin and her so happen to be at this party. She's about ready to throw up. Her boyfriend is already taking care of her brother, who had just thrown up. I should mention that the boyfriend is also drunk as fuck. He has a bowl in one hand, half full of the brother's vomit, and nothing in the other hand. My cousin is heaving and all the bathrooms are locked. Trash cans and sink are free, but we were upstairs. No way are these three making it down there. So boyfriend looks at his hand in a drunken daze, then to the hand with the large bowl in it, then to his heaving so who's ready to throw up. I look at him, and I can practically see his brain trying to tell him what to link, but his motor skills are fucked, so in attempt to help my cousin, he hurriedly moves his empty hand to below her mouth, and catches all of her vomit in his empty palm. I watch in horror as it spills onto the white rug of our friend's house. The boyfriend, as vomit flows through his empty hand, stares at his other hand with the bowl in it, and mouths a silent fuck as he realizes slowly that his body did not perform the way he wanted it to. It's a story we still tell to this day. Tea bag in the sink, teaspoon in the bin. It happens on an astonishingly regular basis. Tried to play Wii with my glass full of water, had the controller in the wrong hand. I was holding my apartment keys in one and a trash bag in the other, threw my keys into the dumpster, and kept the bag. Couldn't find my spare, and it took a week to get a new key. I had a phonobook, 5 inches thick, for a class project in one hand, my hat in the other. School had just let out, and my friends distracted me. We talked. The phonobook and the hat switched hands a couple of times because it's a heaviest brick of paper y'all kids today don't know. I got distracted. The wind gusted a bit colder. I jammed my hat on my head, but it wasn't my hat. And that's how I once concussed myself with the Southwestern Bell Yellow Pages.